Okay. So, it is the elf's turn. I mean, I could have him do reckless. No. I'm not going to do that. I was like, I could have him do reckless charge, and then he could get on the other side of the Fimmer, so that would free up the barbarian to be able to attack him next turn. But he can just step back after attacking. It's a pretty standard move in HeroQuest. Attack, step back to let someone else get through. So yeah, he's going to. He only gets 2 attack dice, and he totally misses. He's going to step back. Dwarf, come on, dwarf. You got this. 3 attack dice. No! Oh my gosh. Terrible. Wizard, still just going to stay put. Zargon gets a threat. And the Fimmer is attacking who? I think the dwarf still makes the most sense. He only has 2 body points left, and he only has 1 healing potion because the barbarian could have given him his healing potion on the last turn. Dang it. And I totally forgot. Okay. We got to remember that, dude. You know what? I'm going to put this little healing potion, this card here, on top of his token so that when I flip that token next, I'll remember give the potion to the dwarf. All right, so the Fimmer is attacking the dwarf. And he gets 3 attack dice. He does get 1 skull in there. The dwarf rolls 3 defense dice. Now let me move these so I don't get confused. And he does defend. Nice. Okay, so that's the end of Zargon's turn. Flip tokens. Flip the barbarian's token. Barbarian... Well, he's going to get in there and attack. But I'm going to say that while he passes, he can give the dwarf that healing potion. Because if I'm having fun, I'm doing it right. And he's going to attack. 4. A meaty 4 attack dice. Come on, let's take him out. 3 skulls. Oh, that could really get him. That could really get him. He gets 3 defense. He's gone. Very nice. We get any loot off of him? We do not. Okay, that's fine. Him being gone is treasure enough for now. Hey, Tim O'Donnell. Thanks for coming. He jumps in and says, I'm terrible at multitasking. My last job did involve a lot of rapid task prioritization, which I got good at, but also hate. I'm very good at starting and working on a lot of different projects and never finishing anything. Yeah, that's a challenge. That is a challenge. You can drop it in the chat if you want, or just let me know sometime, Tim, if you have a different job than the last one. I think you were working at a power plant, I want to say. I'm getting almost a Homer Simpson-y kind of vibe. Like maybe you even made a joke at one point that you were Homer Simpson. So I don't know if you're at that job still. But if you want to get in touch, haven't heard from you in a little while, I would love to get an update on your life situation, how fostering is going, all that kind of stuff. I know that you've been in the thick of it. You've been living life, man. Love to hear about it. And Craig says, then make sure to have fun, because if you're having a good time, I bet others are too. Or we might just enjoy watching your brain crash. Might need to update the CPU's drivers. Oh my gosh, you guys, let me tell you. Some of you guys know this already, but like, I'm having to have an entirely new PC built. And I'm actually going to be picking it up this Friday. It was ready to, not picked up. It was ready to do the cloning process, take in my old PC, get it cloned, get the new one in, stuff like that. It was ready to go on Friday, but I had this live stream series to do, and I'm like, I do not want to get a new computer over the weekend and just hope that everything works like I expect it to and like I'm used to it working with the new computer to do this live stream. So, next week is when content might go out the window. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll have this shiny new custom-built PC that in terms of its capabilities is going to be much better and up-to-date and exciting on that level. But in my experience, when things get updated to improve the experience usually goes away because something just stops working. And you got to do all the troubleshooting to get it to the better, faster, smoother experience that they promised when they said, update now for a better, faster, smoother experience. More than 50% of the time, I feel like. I update, and I have to learn everything all over again just to get back to the basics of what I was able to do on the inferior version. So we can all look forward to that next week, as people wonder, what happened to Christian Geek Central? Nothing's coming out. What is happening in this game? What did I kill something? Is it my turn? I think it's my turn. I might have just killed a monster and I rolled for loot. That seems like a thing that maybe happened. I'm gonna say the barbarian did that on his turn. I think it was actually the dwarf, but have not been flipping tokens over here, so we're going back to the barbarian's turn. You know what? I'm just give him a fresh free turn. Let's just do that. Fresh free turn. Has he searched for treasure in this room? I don't know. Let's get out of this room. We've been here too long. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's open up the door. Let me reposition a little bit so we can keep track. We want to keep track of the wizard. We don't want to forget his situation. We got an orc in this room. Oh, I need a replacement door. So that was his 5th step, so he could take one more. But I think in this instance, I will just wait for the orc to come to me, unless one of my other guys can get in there. There's just, the only thing that could happen is he would go in there and find out if there's a trap or not. I think I would rather have somebody else do that. So we'll say he's done for now. Elf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He could get in there as well. And basically just maybe trigger the trap. How many healing potions? He's got 2 healing potions. So does the dwarf at this point. So does the wizard. It's really the barbarian that has a surplus. I should probably just have the barbarian go in, because he's more likely to trigger the trap, which would be a pit trap, and that would suck. No, dang it. See, I think I'm not looking at the map except to fix where one of the doors fell off. But my philosophy of dungeon crawling, whether it's a video game or a board game, is you do a clean sweep of the dungeon, because I want all the loot. Clean sweep. So even playing it solo, I mean, I could go straight to where the final boss is, do the thing, and get out. But that just goes so against my philosophy of dungeon crawling. Sure, I could go straight there, but I'm gonna do a clean sweep of the dungeon. That's part of the prerequisite of winning. That's how you win at life, is sweep all dungeons clean. But in order to sweep the dungeon clean, I always just kind of have an imaginary left hand dragging against the wall, and that helps me to kind of systematically make sure I hit every room. And so, really, even though I know the contents, or I could at any time know the contents of the map, I'm still going to go through it the same way that I would, you know. That's not going to change. So all that to say, we're going on kind of a linear path here, so I would rather not trigger a pit trap here, because everybody's going to have to go through it, probably. So with that in mind, I don't want the barbarian to go through. If I have someone smarter go through, like the elf, what's he has 4 mind points. Next to the wizard, he has the best chance of not triggering a trap. So let's just go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lands him right here. Let's roll and see if a trap even triggers. It does not. Didn't I say white shields? On the old rules, a black shield would have done it, but it does not trigger this time. Okay, so great. That's the elf's turn. Let's see here. Oh, okay, Tim decided to give me the update here. Great. He says, still working at a chemical plant. And he put chemical in all caps. But yes, okay. Yeah, that's right. Homer worked at a power plant. I think you might have made a Homer Simpson joke at one point with me. But I think of Homer being in a chemical plant too a little bit because it's all that plutonium and stuff. But chemical plant, used to work as a logistics clerk / tank truck inspector. Okay. All right. Gosh, I've known you long enough that I do kind of remember that too. All right. Tim O'Donnell. Oh, yeah. Let's see. As of 2020, I moved to a different job in the same plant, picking up chemical waste, storing it, and shipping it out for disposal. Oh my gosh. Let me know when you get those superpowers. Oh my gosh, that sounds scary. News on fostering. The judge changed our foster daughter's plan from reunification to adoption. It's going to take a while, but we are definitely adopting her. Oh, wow. That's so cool, Tim. That is so cool. Wow. Great to hear how God is moving you guys to be in it to win it, because I know just from other people at our church who have gone through that process, I know just a little bit, and just the little I hear, the little trickle-down stories that I hear, just sounds like it is such an uphill battle because of how the various legal systems work, and man, that's God-honoring stuff. I'm glad you're doing that. Craig says, LOL, don't worry, Pater. Cloning your system is safe as far as I'm aware. Everything is transferred, upgraded my laptop storage, and had to get it cloned. No issues. Well, that's great. I mean, I'm not worried about losing data. It's about everything working as it should on the new hardware. I guess usually the kind of problems I have is when software is upgrading, not hardware. So in theory, I mean, everything you're saying sounds right. The problem is, Craig, you are you and I am me. And this kind of stuff just seems to go better for people when they're not me. So we will see, but thank you for the encouraging word. Francisco says to Tim O'Donnell, praise God, and Tim answers, yeah, it's a huge relief. She's been with us all her life. I forget, that sounds familiar now that you say that, but man, yeah. Okay. And Francisco clarifies, or confirms, Homer was at a nuclear power plant. Anyway. Tim O'Donnell gives some tactical advice. Let the barbarian lay over the pit trap so everyone can get across. So like a Superman the movie type of move where he's over the train tracks kind of deal. Yeah, that's the type of thing I would love to add in as a house rule. I just, yeah. Certainly thematically it works. But dang it, I'm trying to keep this thing streamlined, and I'm not doing a good job. So we had the elf go in there, right? Yeah, that was the end of his turn, and then I got caught up on comments, which is great to have you guys here. Thanks so much for coming out. So the dwarf is going to go now, and I think he can get in there and attack. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can absolutely make it here to attack this orc. I still got the orc card handy. The dwarf attacks with 3. Actually, you know what? Let's have him move here, because he does have a crossbow, so he can attack diagonally, and then that'll leave spaces open for 2 other heroes to attack, even though, gosh, you know what? The orc is almost certainly going to move. So it doesn't really make any difference. Oh well, I want to use this dang crossbow, so I'm going to do it. Did I just roll a 6-sider in there with that? What the 2 skulls already. And a 3rd skull. Beautiful. 3 skulls. There's no way he can defend against that. So down goes the orc, leaving behind a healing potion for the dwarf, whose total is now up to 3 that he currently has on hand. That's beautiful. We got to get some of these to the wizard so he can start seeking bolting these fools. That was the dwarf. Wizard now can stumble over this, or fall into this trap. 1, 2, 3, 4... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what he wants to do. But of course he doesn't. He falls in the pit trap and takes a point of damage. What in blazes? Where's that barbarian to lay over this pit for me? That's totally, if Elderast was legit in charge of this group, they just kind of tolerate him and let him think he's in charge. But that's totally what he would do. All right, well, his turn's over. Zargon gets a threat. We reset all the heroes. Gosh, time is flying. We've got about an hour and 10 minutes left in the stream today. But I was going to say moving through this at a pretty good clip, but no, we're not. No, we're not. I'm going to get about halfway through this dungeon today. And then probably the other half, so it'll end up being freaking a 6-hour game of HeroQuest. This game is never 6 hours. If you are at all interested in this game, and you're thinking, well, it looks kind of cool, but it freaking takes forever for Pater to play it. When you get good at this game, and you're playing by the base rules, you can really get through dungeons in about 2 hours or less, is I think the average that Mark and I had. They did get longer as we started house ruling and playing around a bit, but the base game, you can really move along at a good clip, especially once you're experienced. I played this game for the first time with both my boys and my nephews, and reported on this on the Christian Geek Central podcast in the Geek Week segment. And it took us a good while their first time, But if you're playing, especially if you got one player playing Zargon and the other player that's just controlling all the heroes, which I think is how a lot of people have played this over the years, especially if you're on the older side of the age demographic playing this game. I think it's a recommended age of like 12 and up. But I mean, once you're in your teens, you're going to be clipping along in this game with just two players playing it. And that's how I've mostly played it through my life. And it's been a great experience. So I do really recommend the game if the price is right for you. I think $125 for the base set, which sounds really pricey to me. Adjusted for inflation, I think this game originally was $40, I want to say, back in 1990. So you can do the adjustment for inflation if somebody wants to get out the web calculator. I'm sure there's a web calculator that exists and find out what that would be. But it might be comparable to paying $125 on Amazon. That's where you'd have to get it for that price today. There's probably other places, but Amazon I know has it for about that much. But great game. Easily the board game I've gotten the most value out of over the years. And that's aside from even having, kids that I've played it with now and then in the last 5 years or so. What the crap, Pater? If we're gonna get through this game, you gotta stop talking. Let's just say it's the barbarian's turn. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open the door. What do we got going on here? Oh, interesting. Okay. So this is where I'm going to introduce my house rules for secret doors. Because you might be thinking, well, if you're playing solo and you got the map in front of you, how you're going to lose all the fun of secret doors? Well, I would argue no. I would argue that there's more potential for them to be fun and interesting with these rules now. Oops, that's a stone door. I didn't want the stone door. It's like, oh, actually, no, that's a pretty good fit. That's a great fit. I was going to put a metal door. These doors you used in the expansions to be the entry door to the dungeon. And you would put them at the edge of the board, and your heroes would line up outside, and then they would enter the dungeon from a space outside. But I mean, you hardly ever were looking at these doors in the game. They were barely there. You lined up your heroes, you put this there, you don't set up anything else, so it's not like it takes a bunch of time. You just put the thing down, and then someone opens the door, and immediately it's gone. So it got almost no use in those expansions, and I thought, well, this would be great for having a locked door. I mean, it's even got a lock on it, if you look closely. And so secret doors now are locked doors. They are revealed immediately, and they need to be unlocked by a successful disarm trap roll. Which I think makes perfect sense. And they could still provide a little bit of challenge in that if you fail at the roll, another turn is going to pass. And then with my solo rules, Zargon's gaining threat, maybe spawning monsters, which I think I'll probably do, pretty soon here. And so they can still be relevant to creating some sense of challenge. But I'm second guessing the use of that door because this is something this was a printed out version of a stone door for a European expansion. Before they started really in earnest long before they started in earnest reprinting the, going to make a reprint of the game, Milton Bradley put PDFs of the original content online for free to download. I mean, it was like officially provided by Milton Bradley, which was really surprising and generous for them to do. Maybe they regret that a little bit now, since they did eventually end up, well, Hasbro, who I think maybe bought Milton Bradley. I don't know, Hasbro has the rights, they're the ones making it now, but they might have taken down those PDFs. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd been taken down. But I had the PDFs for all the tiles, so that I could get, printouts of them, of like this stone slab door, which was an entry door, and then there's like tiles that you put out on the map that I printed out. You couldn't get the figures, so you have to look through your own nerd board game collection to supply the figures, but basically I downloaded those PDFs, and so I don't really feel a draw even to buy the Frozen Horror that just came out for the new version of HeroQuest, even though I think, based on what I've seen, if you have the base game, the original 1990 base game, and if you wanted to buy an expansion that was printed for the reprint, I think it would be compatible. I think the sizes all work. Everything is like totally compatible. It just is a nice looking upgrade. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Pater's talking too much again, slowing down the game. I'll go ahead and stick with this door because I think it fits the theme, even though you guys won't be able to see it very well. Fits the theme of the locked door mechanic that I'm going with now. So he was here or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and then 6. Let's go ahead and have him check for the trap. Black shield, so no trap. I think I will spawn a monster on my next turn. I just got so much threat that's building up over here. So he's done. The elf. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'll have him stop there. Oops, sorry, I'm not showing you guys very well this room. Well, I'm not going to... The wizard's back there. He'll catch up soon enough. I'll just put the camera like that. So the elf, I don't think any of my guys have a trap disarming kit. It's just the dwarf, I think, that can disarm traps. So we're going to have to wait for him. In the meantime, though, I'm going to have the elf search. Wandering monster! Crap. So that's... At least it's just one Fimmer this time. So he appears and attacks the elf. Two skulls. Elf defends with 3 defense, right? Yeah. And he blocks one of them, but still takes a hit. Brings him down to 4. And that's the end of his turn. Let's see, let me catch up on some chat here. Tim O'Donnell says, I do have a guy in my gaming group who works at the nuclear power plant down the road. Thankfully, he is a lot more competent than Homer, but he does have 3 children. Oh, that's interesting. Craig says, the moment you gave your life to God, I'm pretty sure nothing in your life was ever going to be streamlined. At this point, you just got to roll with it. That's true. That's true. There is, I think that something that I've done in the past in interacting with friends about my faith, one friend in particular who I felt like maybe the thing that was, and maybe still is, a big part of the reason ultimately that he left his faith is because he just wants to live the way he wants to live. I mean, I think that's ultimately at the core of most people's reasons for not pursuing life in Jesus, and even us as believers, we want to live like we want to live. But I think that there's kind of a disservice that we do, because like I would, in conversation say to him, I mean, do you get the impression that I have this miserable life where I'm living under this massive weight of rules, but I think that I was maybe doing a disservice in kind of like pointing that. I mean, I think in some circumstances that is, it's not a burden. The burden that Jesus gives us is light, but at the same time, we're told to count the cost before committing to faith in Jesus and take up our cross. That's not a metaphor that says our life is going to be easy, you know. Our burdens are different, and ultimately, I think, light in a sense because there's purpose, you know, and meaning and significance to those pains and those burdens. But yeah, you're absolutely right. In both the light sense and in the real life contemplative sense, we shouldn't expect our lives are going to be streamlined. Let's see here. Tim O'Donnell says, train wrecks are always more entertaining than something that goes completely smooth. Not for the people involved, but definitely for those watching. And then adds later, Pater's pain is our pleasure. Craig agrees. Don't mind seeing Pater just ramble and get confused about the most random of things. Hey, Medic for Christ. Thanks for jumping into the chat. Tim O'Donnell says, the Barbarian is the trap disarming kit. Maybe that's a philosophy I should take on. How many? He's got all these healing potions. There you go. There you go. Medic 4 says, can I ask a question? Do you ever feel guilty playing games revolving around sorcery and whatnot in reference to certain passages in the Bible? How do we deal with that issue as gamers? This is a great question, Medic for Christ. And I've actually posted a couple videos related to this topic. One of them, if you go to the Christian Geek Central YouTube channel and search magic, I don't think the keyword would be sorcery. I think if you search my videos for magic, there's more than one video on that topic. Some that I shared of what other people have wrote on it, some of my own thoughts as well. And I think one thing that's relevant to that topic is what is being referred to in terms of sorcery in the Bible, and then what you are engaging in when you play in a game like this. I think we're several steps removed from doing any participating in sorcery the way the Bible talks about it, or divination, or these kinds of quote-unquote magic things, you know, in the Bible. We're several steps removed. One, the lesser, that I think is actually less significant, is that we're talking about a different type of magic here. It's not, I mean, sorcery was about gaining power, and divination as well, gaining power and knowledge from other beings other than God. So it was basically, it was ultimately a form of idolatry. We're saying, I want to align myself with these other beings and seek power and guidance from them instead of from Yahweh. And if you look at the concept of magic and say like Harry Potter, it's more like this different version of science where you say these words, you do these things, and it brings about an effect. You are not aligning yourself with another being of power other than Yahweh. You're just taking advantage of these systems of the natural world that Muggles don't know about. And magic is often handled the same way in other fantasy contexts. So there's that. That could be an element that kind of makes us one step removed. But I think the far more significant thing is that this is a fictional thing that we're entering into, and it's not real. We understand that this is not real. The danger that I would think that could potentially exist is if for some reason someone is engaging in fiction in a way that causes them in their real life, their day-to-day life, to be interested in things that would lead them away from relationship with Jesus. So whether that's a game or a book that has magic and sorcery and ideas in it that are maybe a little bit more closely linked to the real-world counterparts, like practicing Wicca or something like that. If something in entertainment leads you to have an interest in and consideration of practicing Wicca, then that is something that, based on the belief systems in Wicca, are going to be at odds with following Jesus. Not all of them. I mean, like, if I'm not really, I haven't studied Wicca, but I mean, if there are principles in Wicca that say treat people well, treat people nicely, obviously that's compatible with Christianity. But then you get into like things with goddesses and whatnot, you know, that is certainly going to be counter to faith in Christ and living a life in Christ. But anyway, for the idea of, can we do things in the context of a game world? In other words, we aren't actually doing them. We are controlling avatars. Like, I'm having the barbarian kill this femur, you know, who maybe has a family of little femurs at home or something like that. But I'm having him kill him, even though, you know, for all we know, he's just doing his duty guarding this room. And my barbarian's coming in and slaughtering this dude. And his poor little femur children are never going to see him again, you know? Should I feel bad about that, you know? When I'm having this avatar in this game do something that, in the context of the game world, we'll just say for a moment, maybe would be sinful. I don't know. I don't think it would be in the context of this game world, but let's say it was, you know. Is that sinful for me to have an avatar do that? Well, I've made a video called Can Christians Be Evil in Games? And it's one of the videos I most commonly refer people to, because the principles in that video apply to what you're talking about with engaging in magic, you know, fictional magic in a game setting or in a book setting or whatever. And I think the long and short answer is that yes, provided it's not having a real life impact on our worldview, on the way we're living for Jesus, it doesn't in and of itself have anything that is sinful, because it's not the same thing. You know, in a video game, I'm killing, quote unquote. It's not even killing. I'm doing something in a game that is manipulating the mechanics of the game that results in these avatars being in a laying down position that with red stuff coming out of it that is meant to depict death. But that is not, death is not what is happening there, you know. Yeah. So anyway, it's a fairly long video. It's over 30 minutes long. I try to treat the topic respectfully and therefore exhaustively and really carefully. And so it does require some time to really dig into. And I've prepared my thoughts a lot more there. So whereas here I'm just talking off the cuff, there's a lot more good information per second in that video than you'll be able to get from me right now. But that's what I would refer you to, is my video, Can Christians Be Evil in Games? Would be the #1 place I would send you. Great question, so relevant to so much of what we enjoy as geeks. So thank you for asking that. Thank you, Craig, who says to Medic for Christ, Christian Geek Central has a video titled, Is Fictional Magic Sinful to Enjoy? That's probably the other, like, that would be the second one that I would definitely recommend checking out. Is fictional magic sinful to enjoy? That might have been an adaptation of an article from our friends at Speculative Faith. I can't remember. I might have also added my comments as well, but either way, that's one I would recommend. Hey guys, Peter Franson here. Want to play games to save lives? Then join me again this year for Game Save, our annual charity fundraising event in support of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, whose compassionate care and cutting-edge research has been saving the lives of children all over the world for decades. Joining the Game Save team only requires a willingness to ask friends and family to consider donating toward your fundraising efforts. Team members also usually do something fun and game-related to draw attention to their fundraising, like a special game night at your church or home, or like me, you could do a crazy 24-hour video game marathon. Now, I'm theming my fundraising around video games, but you can use tabletop games of any kind. What you do to raise funds is really entirely up to you, but by joining the Game Save team, you can get support and encouragement from myself, from other team members, and have more attention drawn to your fundraising efforts. You can get more info about the origins and heart behind Game Save itself at gamesave.christiangeekcentral.com. To join the team, just follow the invite link below, make an account at tiltify.com, then from your dashboard, create a new individual campaign using St. Jude Play Live 2022 as your cause, and check Support an Existing Campaign. Type CGC in the campaign search field and select CGC Game Save 22. To help your donors, I recommend including CGC Game Save 22 in the name of your individual campaign as well. After that, it's a short, simple process to finish up, and you'll be an official member of the Game Save 22 team. After that, as team leader, beginning in October, I provide team members with weekly tips and resources to make your fundraising as fun, easy, and effective as possible. October will be our main push for fundraising, capping things off with my annual 24-hour video gaming live stream on November 5th. Although you are welcome to continue fundraising until the end of November 30th, when our official final total will be tallied. If you have any questions before or after signing up, you can reach me anytime at paeter@spiritblade.com. I'm happy to help, and I hope you'll consider being a part of this with me. I can't wait to get started. Thanks for listening.